So how is it conditioning? You say you want to be defensive oriented. Defensive oriented, the Mavs, since the trade deadline last year to finish the season, had the top 10 defense in the league. They held the Celtics, one of the historically best offenses statistically of all time. They held them to a 109 offensive rating in the finals. Defense wasn't an issue down the stretch. Luka dragged that team. All your basketball reasons make no sense. The Supermax, where you always pay a player of Luka's caliber when you give them the Supermax. This, like I said, this isn't basketball related at all. It's personal. It's personal. And for whatever reason, I can't tell you exactly why, but Luka Doncic and his team have pissed off Nico Harrison and the Dallas decision makers so much that they don't want him in the building anymore. They're okay with sacrificing wins, sacrificing championship contention to get away from Luka because they can't stand him and can't stand being around him. I don't know exactly what's led up to that. You know, you say there's some reports that Luka brought his own medical staff in and they've been bothering and been dismissive of the Mavericks front office and management and all that. I don't know exactly what led to it, but I do know that this is not basketball related. There's no basketball justification, not a single one that you can make for making this trade, for not maxing out, giving Luka the Supermax when you have a player who's been to 5 first-team All-NBAs, went to the NBA Finals last year, scoring champ last season. He's done it all. He is the most accomplished 25-year-old in terms of team success, individual success since LeBron James, and no one else before him. Not Kobe, not MJ, who spent years in college. Nobody was more accomplished at 25 years old than Luka Doncic was, except LeBron James. And you got rid of that. It's not basketball related. You can't convince me otherwise. And look, I'm not a conspiracy guy. Not in politics, not in sports, not in life.
Okay.
It's hard to not get conspiratorial about this trade.
Ooh, because it involves the Lakers.
Because it involves the Lakers, and it's just so absurd that I've spent so much time trying to justify it in my head from the Mavs perspective of how they got to this conclusion they should trade Luka and should trade him to the Lakers when they could have got a better offer that would help them in the future. And there's no possible justification for it. Not a single one. So that's why I've come to the conclusion, and there's been some reports that have kind of confirmed this, that it's personal. It's personal with the Mavs or Dallas, or there's a conspiracy theory out there that this is wild.
If you open, Rudy Gobert fetched 4 first-round picks. The Lakers had 2 first-round picks, and you didn't get both of them. Like this was malpractice at the highest level.
Let me read to you some of the recent guys. I won't even consider them all stars. Not even close to it. And what their trade value was. Mikal Bridges, the Nets got 5 first-round picks. Rudy Gobert, the Jazz got 5 first-round picks. The Thunder, when they traded Paul George, got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and a boatload of first-round picks. The Nets, when they traded KD a few years ago, they got Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, and 4 first-round picks. You're never going to get the equivalent trade value for a guy like Luka Doncic because the only guy you could possibly trade that's better than him is Nikola Jokic. So that's not going to happen. But what you can do is try to set yourself up for the present and future. They set themselves up. They lowered their ceiling in the present and have completely destroyed their future. And they traded a guy that could have commanded legitimately 10 first-round picks. He's that talented, and his value is that high. And they didn't shop him at all. And that's coming to the decision to trade him is ludicrous. It makes no sense. But to not even shop him, and you could do it. I get it. Like if you blow your cover, someone leaks it out, then Luka has more leverage. And a lot of teams, like there's certain teams he wouldn't sign with next summer or sign an extension with. So those teams would be out of it. But a team like the Rockets, could ease. That would be my first call. I don't know your relationship with their GM, Nico Harrison, but that would be my first call. They could give you Alperen Sengun, Amen Thompson, 4 first-round picks. Now that is a haul that can make you compete right now.
Oh, yeah.
And you're set up for the long term. You're just worried about it being leaked out? That's ridiculous. Just because Rob Pelinka has been your friend for 30 years, and that's where the conspiracy goes to me, is that Rob Pelinka and Nico Harrison pretty much admitted he's not going to be there in 5 years. Made a mockery of that press conference. Mockery of the Dallas organization.
Yep.
I mean, you're a fan that's legitimately devastated right now in Dallas. Millions and millions of them. And he was laughing it off, making a mockery, knowing he was tanking his team. It's a little fishy how he went to Rob Pelinka, the closest organization to him before he became the Mavs GM was the Lakers. He was Kobe's marketing manager for pretty much Kobe's entire career at Nike. Him and Rob Pelinka had a very close relationship, which is why he approached him. But I'm just saying, if I was going to throw a conspiracy theory out there, it would be that he's acting as a double agent for the Lakers.
Well, I don't think it's I don't think it's out of the imagination. I don't think it's a stretch. That's number one, right? Number two is okay, where is the commissioner? How come the commissioner doesn't have anything to say about this? How could you allow this to go through without like, hold up? Like, and again, I don't, maybe there was a discussion. I don't know, but the commissioner should speak on this because of exactly what you just said. Hell, Stern vetoed a trade before that had the LA Lakers with Chris Paul involved. Like, it wouldn't be out of this world if all of a sudden Silver said, you know what, hold up. Like, we gotta connect the dots on this. And again, to your point, the end of the press conference, that was the best part.
And the future to me is 3-4 years from now. The future 10 years from now, I don't know. I don't think they probably bury me and Jay Button, or we bury ourselves.
Like Butthead and Beavis and Butthead, you know?
Yeah.
yeah. Fire.
Great callback.
I just like, what is going on? And Jason Kidd.
Oh, he's furious.
He has to be
furious. I mean, to not even consult him. And it really speaks to the ownership that's going on with the Mavericks right now, where they don't have a relationship with Luka because they just got there. Cuban, we all know, would never, ever in a million years let this happen. But they're also, that ownership group are admittedly not Dallas people, and they're not basketball people. So you don't care about the city of Dallas, and you don't really care about basketball. You don't really care that much what goes on, even though financially, it is a massive loss to your business, your brand, to lose a star like Luka Doncic, who would have been there potentially for 10, 15 years. So the ownership should have got involved. I will say with the Adam Silver thing, first off, he's not David Stern in terms of just putting your foot down, being the aggressor in these situations. The owners work for him. The reason why David Stern could veto that trade is because David Stern had leverage over the owners, because David Stern at the time was the Charlotte Hornets owner, because they didn't have an owner. And when the teams don't have an owner, they're in the middle of processing a sale or something, and Michael Jordan eventually became that owner, the league technically owns that team. So any votes that happen within the ownership group, the league, aka David Stern, would vote on it. So that's why David Stern had the leverage to do that, and he vetoed that trade. I don't think Adam Silver would ever do that, because again, he works for the owners, and I don't really think the owners would want a veto of a trade like this. But I mean, you're right in terms of him speaking out, like saying something like this. This is part of the integrity of the game. I mean, it's malpractice at the highest form. The Adam Silver and the NBA kicked out Sam Hinkie for malpractice, essentially saying that they were messing up the integrity of the game. They were hurting the product. They were hurting a franchise, the organization, a city. And they kicked out Sam Hinkie and replaced him with their own guy, Brian Colangelo, which was a disaster. At some point, you have to look at this. This is malpractice in its highest form. At what point does the league go, how are we going to let this happen? How is this okay, where this guy is saying, I'm sacrificing the entire future because I'm only going to be here another 3 to 5 years?
It's wild, man. I'm with you. There's definitely something going on there. I think he's, look, in the moment, of course, Anthony Davis, this is going to help us defense. You got a nice little run there with Kyrie. You got Anthony Davis. You got Clay. It's a good team. Of course, they got dealing with an injury as well right now. But bottom line is Luka is one of the greatest scorers that I've ever seen. And I just don't see that stopping it for a 25-year-old. So something was going on. Something fishy was going on. But here we are. And now we roll on. And for the people Sam, this is another thing too. I love the people that are telling me they get better, but yet the odds fell.
I mean, come on.
Somewhat drastically, but look, from 9-1 to 16-1, from 28-1 to 35-1 to win it all. So like, you can't tell me this team got better right here, right now, when the odds dropped like that.
They didn't get better. There's no question. I don't even understand how people are questioning this. Like, they didn't, like, what are we talking about? Yeah. Kyrie Irving is the only perimeter scorer on that team. He's the only guy on that roster that can create for himself. Kyrie Irving was good the last couple years as a sidekick because he was playing alongside Luka. Kyrie cannot be at this point of his career, and he really has never been the guy at all in his career, even when he was in the Celtics, even when the opportunities in Cleveland early on. He's never been the guy where he can be the lead. He can be the creator, the primary scorer, playmaker. He's the only guy they have that's capable of doing that right now. Guys like Klay Thompson, he can't create shots for himself right now. He was created shots playing alongside earlier this season before Luka got hurt, playing alongside Luka. Guy like Derek Lively, an amazing rookie season last season. He was an amazing rim runner, lob threat. Why? He's the best passer in the league throwing lobs to him. Every single player on this roster got exponentially worse with Luka leaving the team. So I don't understand how people think this team is going to compete in the West. I don't understand why they think AD somehow raises their ceiling more than Luka would. There's 4 or 5 players in the league, probably 4 players in the league, where if they're on your team, your ceiling is automatic championship contention. Without those 4 players, you never know. You have to put the perfect complementary pieces together, have the perfect roster, and everyone has to buy in. And it does not going to come together mid-season. And now that's what the Mavs are asking AD to do, who again is hurt right now with an abdominal strain. So we'll see what happens the rest of the year. This team is not competing for anything.
No.